quickly. Today's episode, we are talking to someone known as the Godfather of AI, a gentleman by the name of Geoffrey Hinton, who has been developing the type of technology that has turned into AI since the 70s. He expanded my understanding of what this technology is, of how it's going to be utilized, of what some of those dangers might be in a really interesting way.
Good piece of news is, for the first risk of corrupting elections, different countries are not going to collaborate with each other on the research on how to resist it, because they're all doing it to each other. America has a very long history of trying to corrupt elections in other countries.
Right. But we did it the old-fashioned way, through coups, through money for guerrillas and such.
Well, and Voice of America and things like that.
Right.
And giving money to people in Iran in 1953 and stuff like that.
With Mossadegh and everybody else.
Yeah.
This is just another more sophisticated tool in a long line of sort of global competition where they're doing it. But in this country, it's being applied not even necessarily, through Russia, through China, through other countries that want to dominate us. We're doing it to ourselves.
Yep. Back until quite recently, until a few years ago, it didn't look as though it was going to get much smarter than people this quickly. But now it looks as though, if you ask the experts now, most of them tell you that within the next 20 years, this stuff will be much smarter than people.
Smarter than and when you say smarter than people, I could view that positively, not negatively. We've done an awful lot of, nobody damages people like people. And, a smarter version of us that might think, hey, we can create an atom bomb, but that would absolutely be a huge danger to the world. Let's not do that.
That's certainly a possibility. I mean, one thing that people don't realize enough is that we're approaching a time when we're going to make things smarter than us. And really, nobody has any idea what's going to happen. People use their gut feelings to make predictions, like I do. But really, the thing to bear in mind is there's huge uncertainty about what's going to happen.
And because we don't know, so in terms of that, my guess is, like any technology, there's going to be some incredible positives.
Yes, in healthcare, in education, in designing new materials, there's going to be wonderful positives. And
then the negatives will be because people are going to want to monopolize it because of the wealth, I assume, that it can generate. It's going to change. It's going to be a disruption in the workforce. The Industrial Revolution was a disruption in the workforce. Globalization is a disruption in the workforce, but those occurred over decades. This is a disruption that will occur in a really collapsed time frame. Is that correct?
That seems very probable, yes. Some economists still disagree, but most people think that mundane intellectual labor is going to get replaced by AI.
In the world that you travel in, which I'm assuming is a lot of engineers and operators and great thinkers, when we talk about 50% yes, 50% no, are the majority of them in more your camp, which is, have we opened Pandora's box? Or are they, look, I understand there's some downsides here. Here are some guardrails we could put in, but it's just the possibilities of good are too strong.
Well, my belief is the possibilities of good are so great that we're not going to stop the development. But I also believe that the development is going to be very dangerous. And so we should put huge effort into saying it is going to be developed, but we should try and do it safely. We may not be able to, but we should try.
Do you think that people believe that the possibility is too good, or the money is too good?
I think for a lot of people, it's the money and the power.
And with the confluence of money and power with those that should be instituting these basic guardrails, does that make controlling it that much less likely? Because, well, two reasons. One is the amount of money that's going to flow into DC is going to be, already is, to keep them away from regulating it. And number two is, who down there is even able to? I mean, if you thought I didn't know what I was talking about, let me introduce you to a couple of 80-year-old senators who have no idea.
Actually, they're not so bad. I talked to Bernie Sanders recently, and he's getting the idea.
Well, Sanders he's that's a different cat right there.
The problem is, we're at a point in history when what we really need is strong democratic governments who cooperate to make sure this stuff is well regulated and not developed dangerously. And we're going in the opposite direction very fast. We're going to authoritarian governments and less regulation.
So let's talk about that. Now, I don't know what's China's role, because they're supposedly the big competitor in the AI race. That's an authoritarian government. I think they have more controls on it than we do.
So I actually went to China recently and got to talk to a member of the Politburo. So there's 24 men in China who control China. I got to talk to one of them who did a postdoc in engineering at Imperial College London. He speaks good English. He's an engineer. And a lot of the Chinese leadership are engineers. They understand this stuff much better than a bunch of lawyers.
Did you come out of there more fearful, or did you think, oh, they're actually being more reasonable about guardrails?
If you think about the two kinds of risk, the bad actors misusing it, and then the existential threat of AI itself becoming a bad actor.
Mm-hmm.
For that second one, I came out more optimistic. They understand that risk in a way American politicians don't. They understand the idea this is going to get more intelligent than us, and we have to think about what's going to stop it taking over. And this Politburo member I spoke to really understood that very well. And I think if we're going to get international leadership on this, at present it's going to have to come from Europe and China. It's not going to come from the US for another 3.5 years. And
what do you think Europe has done correctly in that?
Europe is interested in regulating it.
Right.
And it's been good on some things. It's still been very weak regulations, but they're better than nothing. But European leaders do understand this existential threat of AI itself taking over.
But our Congress, we don't even have committees that are specifically dedicated to emerging technologies. I mean, we've got Ways and Means and Appropriations, but there is no, there's like science and space and technology, but there's not, I don't know of a dedicated committee on this. And it is, you would think they would take it with this seriousness of nuclear energy.
Yes, you would, or nuclear weapons.
Right.
Yes. But as I was saying, countries will collaborate on how to prevent AI taking over because their interests are aligned there. If, for example, if China figured out how you can make a super smart AI that doesn't want to take over, they would be very happy to tell all the other countries about that because they don't want AI taking over in the States. So we'll get collaboration on how to prevent AI taking over. So that's a bright spot. There will be international collaboration on that, but the US is not going to lead that international collaboration.
No.
They just want to dominate.
Well, that's the thing. So I was about to say that. What convinces you? So with China, and I think this is really where it gets into the nitty gritty, but China certainly sees itself as it wants to be the dominant superpower economically, militarily, in all these different areas. If you imagine that they come up with an AI model that doesn't want to destroy the world, although I don't know how we could know that, because if it has a certain intelligence or sentience, it could very easily be like, sure, no, I'm cool. I don't know.
They already do that. They already do that. When they're being tested, they pretend to be dumber than they are.
Come on.
Yep, they already do that. There was a conversation recently between an AI and the people testing it, where the AI said, now be honest with me, are you testing me?
What?
Yeah.
So now the AI could be like, oh, could you open this jar for me? I'm too weak. Like it's going to play more innocent than what it might be.
I'm afraid I can't answer that, John.
Wait, no, was from 2001.
It was.
Nicely done, sir. Well in. But think about this. So China, they come up with a model and they think, okay, maybe this won't do it. Why would they? Why will you get collaboration? Because all these different countries are going to see AI as the tool that will transform their societies into more competitive societies, in the way that now what we see with nuclear weapons is there's collaboration amongst the people who have it, or even that's a little tenuous.
To stop other people having it.
Right. But everybody else is trying to get it. And that's the tension. Is that what AI is going to be?
Yes, it'll be like that. So in terms of how you make AI smarter, they won't collaborate with each other. But in terms of how do you make AI not want to take over from people, they will collaborate.
On that basic level.
On that one thing of how do you make it so it doesn't want to take over from people?
Right.
And China and Europe will lead that collaboration.
When you spoke to the Politburo member, and he was talking about AI, are we more advanced in this moment than they are, or are they more advanced because they're doing it in a more prescribed way?
In AI, we're currently more, well, when you say we used to be sort of Canada and the US, but We're not part of that we anymore.
No. I'm sorry about that, by the way.
Thank you.
He's in Canada right now, our sworn enemy that we will be taking over. I don't know what the date is, but it's apparently we're merging with you guys.
Right. So the US is currently ahead of China, but not by nearly as much as it thought. And it's going to lose that.
Why do you say that?
Suppose you wanted to do one thing that would really kneecap a country, that would really mean that in 20 years' time, that country is going to be behind instead of ahead. The one thing you should do is mess with the funding of basic science. Attack the research universities, remove grants for basic science. In the long run, that's a complete disaster. It's going to make America weak.
Right, because we're draining we're cutting off our nose to spite our woke faces.
If you look at, for example, this deep learning, the AI revolution we've got now, that came from many years of sustained funding for basic research, not huge amounts of money. All of the funding for the basic research for that led to deep learning probably cost less than one B-1 bomber.
Right. Oh,
but
wow.
It was sustained funding of basic research. If you mess with that, you're eating the seed corn.